Hello, everybody, and welcome to a very special edition of the Artist's Forge. This month, we have the pleasure of hosting the Obsidian Studios' second annual Backdrop Challenge. I cannot wait for you all to see some of the incredible images that were submitted to this challenge. But first, let me introduce not only the owners of Obsidian Studios, but also the incredible panelists that will be included in judging this year's competition. First, Jay and Derek, the owners of Obsidian Studios and the wonderful artists behind the beautiful backdrops that you will see today. Hello, guys.
Hello.
Hi.
So glad we get to do this. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I can't wait. It's going to be so much fun.
Thank you. Thanks for hosting.
Absolutely. Also, let me begin introducing the rest of our amazing panel. We have Isaac Alvarez, David Franco, Pratik Naik, and Becca Bjorky. Welcome to the amazing panelists. Hi, guys.
Hello, hello.
Hi.
Hey, what's up? What's cracking, you guys? What's going on?
We already have some friends joining us in the audience today. Hello. Remember, if you want us to be able to see your name, you do have to give StreamYard permission in order to see your name on Facebook. So, with the nicest people. Hello, Kat is with us today.
Hello, Kat.
Ashley is here. Rachel
Hello,
is here.
Rachel.
Hi, friends.
You guys getting some love? All right. So before we get started, I just want to introduce the panelists today to give you an idea of who's going to be judging. You know, Jay and Derek, of course, the wonderful owners of Obsidian Studios. But Isaac, let's start with you, and then we'll just introduce the panelists one at a time. Let everybody know who you are, what you do, and where they can find you online.
My name is Isaac. I'm LA-based photographer, filmmaker. I've been in the industry since 2008. It's been awesome. Thank you, Nicole, for hosting this. And thank you, Jay and Derek, for being here, and also the panel. It's great to be here. And you can find me online at www.isaacelvarez.com.
Perfect. Becca, let's go ahead and move on to you.
Hi, my name is Becca Bjorky. I'm a photography expat at this point. I mostly work now as a concept artist and digital illustrator, and sometimes production designer in film as well. But the photo world was my first love, and that's how I know all you lovely folks. You guys can find me at thebeccaeffect.com, or probably most actively on Instagram, just Becca Bjorky.
Perfect. We're going to skip right over this guy in the middle. I don't even know who he is or what he's here.
What am I doing here?
Go ahead and introduce yourself, my friend.
Hi, my name is Pratik. I am a photographer and retoucher. You can find all of my work primarily at Solstice Retouch, or my photography at Shot by Pratik. And I am also the co-founder of Infinite Tools, which is a Photoshop panel collection. And I'm so proud to be here with these lovely, lovely people who are experts in the field. And I'm happy to have for Jay and Derek inviting me on board.
Yay. All right, David, let's let everybody know who you are and where they can find you.
Hi, everyone. I'm David Franco. I'm a photographer based out of LA. I actually been. Wait, hold on. I'm having technical difficulties because can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay,
we gotcha.
Okay, cool. So I'm an LA-based photographer, and yeah, I'm just really excited to be a part of this panel and to take a look at everyone's work, and may the force be with you.
May the odds be ever in
May
your
the odds
favor.
be ever in your favor.
All right. And I am Nicole York. I am the founder of the Artist's Forge, photographer, digital artist, and author. And I am completely jazzed to be here today and help show the art of the amazing artists who participated in this year's challenge. So, Derek and Jay, I'm going to hand this over to you and let you explain to everybody what the Obsidian Studios does, what the challenge means, and everything that's involved in what they're going to be seeing today.
Absolutely. Thank you. Hey, everyone. So glad to have everyone here tonight and this wonderful panel of judges. As you know, Obsidian Studios is a backdrop company. We're based just outside of Boston, Massachusetts, headed by me and Derek. I am a conceptual fine art photographer and maternity photographer. I'm also a civil engineer by day. Derek is a fine artist. He got a bachelor's in his fine art, and I'll let him talk a little bit about that. And as you know, you're all here for the Obsidian Challenge. And what that is it's an annual backdrop challenge where we send out secret backdrops to photographers that we choose. And when they get the backdrop, they have to open it, plan a shoot, and they have 1 week to do that. After that, they send the backdrop to the next photographer, and then they have 1 more week to edit and submit their image. So a total of 2 weeks for turnaround time. This year we did a little bit different. This year we didn't show anyone the backdrops prior or during the competition until everyone had their backdrops. So nobody had any idea what they were getting until they opened it up. It was a lot interesting to do that this year. For this year's theme of the backdrops, we chose space. We had 5 backdrops. We had Jupiter, Venus, Mars. I'm drawing a blank. Derek, do you remember?
Uranus.
And Neptune. That's right. Uranus and Neptune. That's
yeah.
right. Sorry, guys. So I'm going to let Derek talk about why he chose the theme space for a second. And then we'll get right into hopping right on the images. And what we're going to do is we're going to go through what we call the bottom 7 images. So basically the images that didn't make it to the top 8 for the critique today. So we'll go through those real quickly and introduce who they are. And then we'll go from there. So Derek, if you want to explain why you chose the theme space.
Well, just in general, like I like space. More so it's a deeper kind of a concept where, like I kind of lost a couple of family members during the whole pandemic itself. And it was kind of like one of those things where you kind of like see them kind of decaying and sort of like getting into a lot of like pain, feeling their like kind of bones kind of getting a lot of compression and stuff like that. So basically what it was just like the theory of being in space and how basically like gravity doesn't take a toll on your body. It's one of those things where it's, it's just like a concept for me to kind of keep in track in line with the theme of the backdrops themselves. So I picked, generally just like the space in general, but then obviously the planets were there. So
that's awesome. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it was fun seeing it all come alive as Derek painted the backdrop, seeing them, one by one come alive, knowing what he was painting. It was cool. Okay, so with that, let's hop right into the bottom 7 images. But what I want to do is announce who actually joined us this year for the challengers. So I'm going to announce the 15 challengers, and this is not in any order at all. It's literally just on my spreadsheet. So this means nothing. So we have Judy Francis from Houston, Texas, Angela Anderson from St. David, Arizona, Ashley Lindsay from Bryan, Texas, Erin DeGroot from Wrightwood, California, Susan Rockstraw from Newport Beach, California, Jennifer Gifford from Ocala, Florida, Ashley Casales from Keller, Texas, Rebecca Shepard from Parsons, Kansas, Duke Mulberry from Ware, New Hampshire, Mariah Wood from Asheville, North Carolina, Donna Maria Jones from Waldorf, Maryland, Sarah Rocca from Londonderry, New Hampshire, Rachel Langlois from Castle Rock, Colorado, Sequoia Wildwind Dexter from Sandy Springs, Georgia, and Josh Beaton from Chicago, Illinois. And they all did amazing, as you're going to see tonight. All right.
Outstanding.
Yeah, so let's hop into these bottom 7.
All right, let's do that. I'll go ahead and add that to the screen.
Great.
Everybody gets to see your wonderful logo, and then you can begin from there. Okay,
so these, we're not going to give any critique on these images. However, if you do want a more in-depth critique, the judges have graciously accepted that if you want to contact us for any more in-depth, you can do that. So starting off with Angela Anderson, she had the Neptune backdrop, which was that gorgeous blue backdrop. And she did such an awesome job with this. I love how she tied in all the colors. Next up, we had Erin DeGroot from California, and also love this image. She had Venus. We had Duke Mulberry, who had the Uranus backdrop, and it was so perfect for him. I love this image. I love the clown, the pity party. It's awesome. Next up, we had Josh Beaton, who had the Jupiter backdrop. The Jupiter backdrop was a wild card backdrop. It was pretty crazy. The 3 people that got this were super challenged, and they all did such an amazing job with it. Next up is Mariah Wood, who had the Mars backdrop. She definitely tied that theme in really well. Next up was Sarah Rocca, who also had the Mars backdrop. Love how she tied the orange and the white wig all together. And last of the 7 was Sequoia Wildwind Dexter, who actually was our 2nd place winner last year, if I remember, 2nd or 3rd.
I believe so.
Yeah, he was in the top 3. So yeah, it's all super great. So congratulations to those bottom 7. Such amazing images.
So good, guys.
So good. So literally so proud, and we're just so in awe of these. Like the judges were talking beforehand, and we all all of these images could have won. It was so hard to choose. I'm the people that voted for these top 8. I don't know how they did it. If you looked at the votes, they were so close. It was literally neck and neck up until we closed the voting. So congrats to all. All right, and without further ado, let's get into the top 8 images.
Ooh, I'm so excited. So do you want to let folks know how this judging is going to go? Because not all of us will be critiquing each individual image, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. So Derek and I are going to comment on every image because what we say goes. And then we're going to have
so bossy.
And then we're going to have 2 panelists talk about each image. So you're going to get 4 people talking about each image, and the rest of the panelists will cycle through the top 8. So that's how that's going to go. So first up, the panelists that are going to talk about image number 1 is Becca, Isaac, and then myself and Derek. So we'll start with Becca. So I will switch to image number 1. Now this is not in any order. So don't try to read into it. So Becca, if you want to start.
Oh boy, I love going first. Thanks, Jay.
You're welcome.
Oh, this is lovely. It is lovely. And I feel like you want me to talk about this because, I like girls with monster body parts like wings. Yeah, it's beautiful and it's soft. One thing that I think is really interesting about this image is the color choice, and particularly the blue gel hitting in those shadows. It's kind of a bold choice. And usually when we look at images with really strong yellows and blues, the blue tends to be in the background. It's a more natural kind of way that our eyes see color. But having it more as the focal point in the front of the image where it isn't receding away is really kind of bold and kind of fun. I am curious about what our angel here is reaching up to. Is it magic? Is it God? I don't know. But I think it's cool, and I love special effects and bringing in interesting light and interesting stuff there. I feel like it does pull the eye a little bit away from out of the frame, right? We look at her beautiful face, and then the eye follows the hand up there towards that light, and then we go right outside the frame there. But it does raise the question of what is it, and kind of makes you think. So overall, beautiful image.
Great. Isaac, you're up.
Yeah, I second that. It's a beautiful image. I love the whole concept, the whole idea of, she's just angelic and she's reaching out for something. I do wonder, what is she reaching out to? Is that a light or is that a fairy? I'm not sure, but I do love it. That blue tint really popped, especially around the neck and the arm. It's really clean. I would have loved to see more shadows on the subject. It is kind of a little bit too bright for me. I would have loved to seen some shadows, maybe on the cheek, on the neck, maybe on the wings. But other than that, it's an amazing image. Really great job.
Great. Yeah, I agree with all those comments. The funny thing is I actually didn't even pick up on that that blue light until Becca said it. It's not something that stuck out to me, so obviously it was done well if it didn't stick out as a bad thing. Yeah, I love all the textures, the way she used the yellow backdrop and tied that all in with the feathers, and the eye makeup is just so cool. I'm going to zoom in real quick to just give you a view of that eye makeup. It's so pretty. So well done. Derek?
Yeah, obviously I agree with what everybody else just said. I do like the fact that I don't think anybody actually pointed it out, but the a little bit of the split complementary color application to this. If you're not really too familiar with that, it's, you know, where you have the complementary color, but then it splits off and almost kind of like veers off like a prism. So essentially, like when you see that blue light hit across there, and then obviously the complementary color is directly to like a magenta or purple, but then it splits off into the yellow and the orange. So you almost kind of get like a little bit of like a split kind of you know, like a color panel off of that. Obviously, it's most seen in like, you know, Van Gogh's work as well, like Starry Night. If you think about that, you know, it's a very similar thing, or any of his self portraits. It's like a very heavily, you know, fixated on the color wise, whether it be like yellow, orange, and then into that blue as well. The aesthetics, obviously, we talked about the eyes, which is like great detail, and I do like the direction of the whole piece as well, from like the top right into pretty much like the eyes. So that point of line of sight is very nice to see as well. But I do agree with Isaac a little bit, where it's like, you know, the shadows and stuff like that can kind of give a little bit more depth into it, and I think that's a very powerful image.
Absolutely. Awesome. Thanks, everyone. Okay, well, we're going to move on to image number 2, and our panel will be Nicole and David, as well as Derek and I.
I'm excited to see. Okay, so for me, obviously, there's a softness and a really beautiful elegance to this image. I think there's so much femininity happening here, from the way that the tulle dress is just almost making her look like a flower, the way that she's posed, arms and everything really elegant. But then we have this little bit of uncertainty coming from what she's standing on, right? It's not flat. There's not a lot of grounded to it. We feel like almost maybe there's a little bit of a danger as she keeps reaching out toward this light. I think a lot of the styling was done beautifully. I love that we've gone very monochromatic with the color palette that just kind of contrasts with her skin, which is gorgeous. I think, unfortunately, it doesn't take as much advantage of the backdrop as it might have if we had made a few other color choices. And also, it may be suffering from some of the same issues that the last one has, where that light is beautiful and the way it's hitting her is beautiful, but it's also kind of pulling us right off the screen. But at the same time, I think that kind of could contribute to that feeling of uncertainty. Is the chair that she's on going to tip? Is she going to fall if she keeps reaching? So there's kind of a nice tension that's happening there as well. So just a really nice, soft, pretty image. I like the direction. Sometimes what happens when we have body parts get close to the light is the hand will then become the brightest part of the image. And that can work if the intention is to kind of draw the eye along that line. But sometimes if the person is the subject and we don't have quite enough light on the face, then it leaves us uncertain where our eyes should be. So maybe a couple of things to think about there. But the beauty, the softness of this, the real kind of elegance of her pose and the femininity of it, so super pretty. Mm-hmm. And some feedback coming from the audience members as well. So really, really lovely and well done.
Yeah, I definitely echo a lot of the things you said. I love the light. I zoomed in on the details, like the makeup and the hair. Everything just looks so beautiful. I actually like the backdrop with this image just because of the dress, and I think it just really it just seems so cohesive. The one only issue that I'm having is it's actually the prop at the bottom. It's the chair. So like I love that idea. I think it's really, really cool to like take something and have that contrast with like that softness with like a little bit of edge. But I kind of want to know more about it. Is the light pulling her towards like, is she falling? Is she like, as far as the story, I just want to know more about like what is it she doing. So like if she's maybe like lifting her dress a touch to see her like her shoes maybe like fall. I don't know. Like I want to know if like maybe is something trying to grab her and pulling her towards the light. Like I just want to know a little bit more about the story. Otherwise, I think that would take it to the next level. But yeah, beautiful image.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I actually had the same thoughts, David, about the chair and where she was being pulled, or like, is she falling? Is she reaching? Only because if she's doing either being pulled or being reached, there isn't enough tension there. It's like it's a very soft top image, and then a lot of tension in the bottom, and so there's a little bit of a break there for me. I do love the monochromatic of all the blues. I love the way the floor looks, how, it's very 3D and jagged with those wood planks. I'd love to see a little bit more of the chair and maybe her feet. But overall, it's a super strong image.
Yeah, absolutely agree with everybody. I think David would definitely hit upon this like pretty well about like the whole like danger aspect of it. I probably would have liked to seen a little bit more danger to kind of over exaggerate the point. At least it's like you said, like, it's uncertain whether it's like, gonna tip, it's like falling or stuff like that. But I mean, like looking at it now, it doesn't seem like it's about to tip over. So like I kind of want that to be like more towards like that midline of like the split decision and making sure that's a little bit more dominant in that. But yeah, I really like this one as well.
Awesome.
So pretty.
Well, thanks everyone. We'll head on to image number 3, and the panel will be Pratik and Becca.
Okay, I'm so glad I got this image, and this is one that I actually gravitated towards quite a lot. I love the color scheme, but I also love the incorporation of the backdrop, because the way the vignetting is happening on the top left and bottom right, and the flow of light matches perfectly with the flow of the dress. That was my absolute favorite part about this, and the pose complements solo with the angles, and the color and composition is so balanced that it just looks great. I don't really have a ton that I would see improved. I'd be curious to see maybe if there was less space above her head, how that would affect the composition, if being a little bit tighter would be a takeaway, or if it actually is perfect the way it is. There's a little piece of the scarf right in the center of the frame next to where the knot is. Maybe if that was tapered in a little bit, that would also change and keep the flow a little bit cleaner. But aside from that, I love the retouching on the skin. The skin was beautiful. The color grading, very subtle, delicate, very purposeful. The makeup on the cheeks are also really nice. I love the way that they have the reds going across, and the hair having a little bit of action is nice. I would have loved to see maybe a little bit more wind in the hair, a little bit more flyaways maybe coming through, but that's pretty much it. Overall, fantastic image. Props.
Yeah, I love this one too. For a lot of the reasons that Pratik already said. I love the color. I love the gold. It feels like almost kind of regal, or I don't know, goddessly or something. And you have this like beautiful kind of triadic color with the blue and the red and the yellow all together. And then you've got the reds like echoed up through the makeup, and the lips and the cheeks. It's just beautiful. And I love the motion and the fact that it's asymmetrical instead of, sticking to something that feels more iconographic, or very centered within the frame. I feel like that asymmetrical composition really adds something special with that inclusion of the movement in the fabric and in the hair. Also, don't have a lot of suggestions for improvement. I think Pratik's suggestion of cropping closer above the head is interesting and might make it a little stronger, but just overall, fantastically done.
Yeah, absolutely. What I love about this image is the backdrop that was used is the Venus drop. It's actually the same backdrop as the first image that we started talking about, the angel image. And you can just see with just a little bit of different lighting how different that and how warm this backdrop can take on. And that vignette that Pratik talked about, that dark spot kind of in the top left, is actually the kind of the center of the backdrop. of like kind of a V shape in the kind of the planet coloring, and the way this artist used that in this was awesome. I love all of the shapes. There's so many triangles in this that obviously we love the triangles in portraits. It's really well done. The yellows, the reds, all beautiful. As Pratik said, retouching is perfect. Yeah, I don't have much to say about how I would improve this image either. It's just all around. It's just really pretty.
Yeah, well, I can't really say much more than what everybody else already said, but yeah, definitely like the richness of the color treatment and stuff like that, and just even we talked about like the tilting and stuff like that. It's just like it makes me want to tilt my head also. So it's almost kind of like a little hypnotic kind of thing where I'm just kind of like tilting, kind of glancing back at the model. So,
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I really like this. I like the accent of the reds as well.
Yeah. Absolutely. Awesome. All right, on to image number 4, and that's going to be Pratik and Isaac.
Wow, this was such a pleasure to witness and just be in the presence of. I mean, I this is gonna sound terrible, but like I have nothing to critique in terms of improving this particular piece because everything has been considered in detail. Even as a retoucher, zooming in and looking at all the details from the backdrop to even the skin retouching to the color tones across the skin, everything was absolutely meticulous. I do maybe wonder what it would look like with a different stool, maybe, or something like that. But even the way the dress is flowing, or maybe even the way the dress is on both sides of the stool, cleaning up a little bit of it closer to the stool might have been good. You can see a little bit of the ends there. But otherwise, the composition of the clouds, even the off-center clouds and the off-center draping of the cloth in the back is perfect. Like this is such a hard image to pull off, but it really did come together in a way it looks very, very stylistic and super cool.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree with you, Pratik. This image just like it made me stare at it like so long because the concept of this image was really dialed in, especially the colors, right? I mean, looking at this image, this person really like took time to really kind of analyze what blue works with what blue and just blends it really well with the image. uh, I don't know. I love this image. I don't know if you guys know the title of this portrait, but I feel like it should be like the Queen of Sorrows. But I love it. It's really good. I mean, yeah, I have nothing to say. I am wondering though, is I'm pretty sure everything's done as a composite image, but the way this person kind of decided that the backdrop behind her would kind of drape that way, it just it's a nice touch. Oh, I love it.
Yeah, it really is amazing. So I'm not going to give away the artist's secrets, but I saw behind the scenes on how they completed that. And what you're seeing is the backdrop actually hung like that.
Wow.
Yeah, I was blown away. Before I even
Wow.
saw what the image was doing, when I was shown behind the scenes, I was like, "What are you doing?" Like I thought it was going to be the worst thing ever because I was like, "What are you doing to this backdrop?" I actually asked if the backdrop was okay. Yeah. The only comment that I would have is I would love to see maybe a different stool. I feel like that's the only thing taking away from this image that just, I guess in a way, just doesn't really make sense to like the etherealness of this image about how amazing it is. Like, everything else is just so well thought out. It's so well edited and brought together. The blue colors. So this is the Uranus backdrop. Just that like baby blue color was just so well tied in. Yeah, it's awesome.
Well, okay. Definitely a very strong image. And I'm a big process type of person. And when I first saw this, it was like the only thing that was going through my head was the construction of this whole thing and how it's like being put together. And obviously, that's, you know, my first reaction is like, how was this made? You know, like what's the blueprints where it's, you know, that you're styling this sort of architecture. And then, you know, just to add, you know, the model into it, it was just like the nice touch. And then, you know, the clouds, everything was just like, you know, pretty much perfect in my eyes. So, yeah, I have
Awesome.
no negatives for this at all.
Yeah.
Do
Awesome.
you all see her maybe sitting in a throne or like levitating? What would you change about the stool? What kind of furniture would you use?
I just feel like something softer.
Mm.
I feel everything in this image has so many curves and it flows. You know, you have the clouds and the rain, and I just feel like the stool is just too hard, too many edges for it. So I don't know. Maybe a cloud, maybe you know, I don't know. I wouldn't know where to go with it either. But to me, that's the only thing that sticks out.
I mean, I guess if we're talking about the stool, maybe like the dress can kind of like come up in front of it, maybe to kind of almost like saying like she's like sitting on her dress, which is almost, you know, mimicking the clouds as well. But
yeah, but a throne could actually work too, Pratik. Now that I'm looking at it, you know, almost that could work too.
maybe something
I
gold,
agree. Yeah.
or even silver. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe even like glass, you know, sitting on glass.
Ooh,
That would
yeah.
be really good.
Maybe some of the elements of those crystals, raindrops.
I like the
Game.
stool. I like it because
Leave it alone.
It's a studio. This is meant to be in a studio. You're meant to know that it's in a studio. Yeah. There's a sweep that's coming toward, and then the stool is a standard posing stool. So I kind of like that it ties it into the fact that this is in a studio. But that's just me.
I think what everybody's trying to do is we're just trying to find what's wrong with the image, and we can't find anything. It's like, oh my gosh, you did such an awesome job.
Right.
It's the game of tones.
Could have hung like one more crystal bead on that last one.
We need an apple box.
It's the only nitpicking we can do. It's so beautiful.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Heading on to image number 5, and which is going to be David, Pratik, and myself and Derek.
Oh, I love this image. So I just love this image so much. I think there's so many details when you zoom in and you just kind of like take it in. I just love how the plant that's next to her mimics her hair. I love the color tones. I love like just how like monochromatic everything feels, and her expression is beautiful. It's also one of those things, like, I really don't have a lot of negative things to say. I mean, like, I would literally be reaching if I had to pick something. I just really love this image. So yeah.
David, that was the best way to say it. Like, this is one of those images, or so far most of them, like we would be reaching if we really overstepped. And I think we can use tonight as more of a gallery of appreciation to the people who contributed these beautiful pieces, rather than really try and go in depth of, you know, so much to improve. Because this one, again, Donna Marie, this is beautiful. Everything about it is just the color choice, even the plant placement. Like, I would never even consider having like a plant there like that. The only thing maybe to improve is I would love to see if the plant was a little bit darker, just a little bit, to not catch as much attention. I even checked your vertical lines to make sure they were all even. Everything was perfect. Even the way the dress ends right at the backdrop, I think that makes it feel like she's more included into the backdrop as well, while still being separated from it. So great job.
Yeah, I'm in awe of this image. I'm super jealous of it. So I know that this is the artist's mother, and I wish that I could have had the chance to take a photo of my mother like this. So props to you for doing this for your mom. Yeah, same with Derek and David and Pratik. I don't really have much to nitpick. The only thing that I do is, now that I'm sitting here staring at it, is this bottom left. I don't know what this little orange color is that's sticking out. I don't know if it's like a piece of the fabric or
I think it might be holding the plant.
It could be. Yeah, so that's the only thing that stuck out to me, is I just don't know what that little thing is. So
is it just a masking issue?
I don't think
no,
so.
I think it's a different thing than the dress.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it could be like a fabric for the, you know, plant or whatever. I don't know. Other than removing that, I like have. Yeah, so that's what the plant was sitting on. That was it. That would be my only comment. Because you can't see the stem of the plant, you don't really know. And honestly, I didn't pick that up until just now. So it obviously didn't stick out that bad, other than me trying to nitpick.
I mean, I guess it could be a backdrop crumpled up in the corner. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I really love the facial expression, and it just seems so genuine. And I'm just like the head tilting back just like ever so slightly. It was just like, it's so like, you can't fake that, you know. There had to be like some sort of thought. Kind of curious like what was, you know, being spoken about in that time and stuff like that. And I really wanted to see what this dress looks like when she's standing up. It's just so like encompassing, and just like how it moves, you know. It just kind of makes me wonder, like when she's like walking, like how does it move, you know. But
And how heavy is that dress? That's what I want to know.
maybe she can't.
Yeah,
stand up. I don't
maybe
know.
she can't stand up.
I want to sit down by her feet, like in the dress, you know, like squish up against it and just put my head on her knee. I bet she would just tell me all the
I want her to
wonderful
tell me that everything's going to be okay.
I would believe it. If she told me that, I would be like, it's true.
It's stunning. Stunning, stunning.
So gorgeous.
So great. All right. Next up, oops. Image number 6, which will be Nicole and Becca.
Ooh. Okay. So there was so much about this image that I loved. I love that we're looking kind of toward like Baroque, Renaissance, like we have the really kind of beautiful, the nude figures, the elegance of the posing, the different colors that are happening here to kind of contrast with that background, even that little bit of painterly image that's to the left with the lightning. So you could have the feeling that this could be sirens, or this could be muses, or this could be like, there's so many references that we could look at for this image to tie back into, you know, some of the history there, some of the paintings that we've loved throughout history. And having the women all be kind of connected in some way is another thing that I really love about this. And all of the colors being a little bit desaturated and a little bit kind of earthy and toned down just enough so that the focus is really on the women, I think is fantastic. So there's a lot that I love about the painterly qualities of this image. I do wish that some of the light on the girl on the bottom right was just a little bit less, because she's the brightest part of the image that kind of pulls the eye down some toward the bottom. And I even think in some ways we probably could have squished them together just a little bit to cut down on some of the space between them. But the light is lovely and the posing is lovely. I think the styling was just right for what you were going for. The color is beautiful. So there's really a lot to love about this image. The way that everybody's connected, like I mentioned before, I really love that too. So a lot of really good things here. The only thing I would change a little bit is some of the brightness on the bottom model on the right.
Yeah, I love that neoclassical feel. Like even the background of the seascape, the lightning kind of gives that a, you know, kind of neoclassical era vibe. You saw a lot of you know, Mariner paintings that were dark and moody and stuff, and then, you know, tied in with the very kind of Grecian goddessy kind of figures. It works very well. I'm going to echo what Nicole had to say about the figure in the bottom right. My eye immediately goes there because it is so much lighter than the rest of the image, and it's in white. So I don't know if it's maybe just an issue of toning down the power of the light, or, you know, using perhaps another color. But something there to make it feel a little bit more balanced. On the topic of balance also, I feel like the weight in the image is pulled a little bit towards that right-hand side a little bit more than I would personally prefer. I think it might be a little bit stronger and feel a little bit more kind of deified, if you will, if it were more centered within the frame. But overall, it's lovely. It's lovely. I like beautiful goddesses. I have a thing. Yeah, just overall, very lovely.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. I love the play with the fabric, with like the middle model, how it's got that smooth, kind of curvy fabric, but you lose that with the other models, and I would have loved to see that throughout all of the subjects. And I agree with Becca how like the weight of it just kind of feels just a little bit to the right, and it just doesn't feel comfortable. And I love how you use the backdrop, and because this is a backdrop competition, you had to use it. But I would love to see you do this image without the backdrop, and complete it in a way that, just because I feel like the image itself is kind of a little incomplete with that the backdrop being there, almost like it just feels a little out of place. But like, I think if the image was centered, it might have maybe felt different. But yeah, but otherwise, I love the painterly image of this. I would definitely see this in a museum. It has to be. So do that.
Jay, may I challenge you for a second?
Of course.
So I didn't say this earlier when I was speaking, but that it almost looks like the liquefy tool was used on that center model on the fabrics there.
Yep.
And that actually, I found that a little bit distracting, just because it immediately feels so different than the natural folds and flow of the fabrics on the other models. So it's very interesting that you actually really like that. So I feel like if it were consistent in either direction, that also would contribute to that more balanced final image.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the difference of it is what stuck out to me. One way or the other would have been fine. I do love like the liquefy of it, so I would have liked it to see it throughout, but since it wasn't, it stuck out.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So as Nicole was saying, like the Renaissance style treatment to all the figures, it's really beautiful to see that a lot. And I think for me, the only thing that I was like a little bit iffy on is like where's the focus, and we kind of like drawn out a little bit like lights and darks, and like how like the bottom right figure and like where's the eye lead, that kind of stuff. But also what I'm kind of like most looking at is like where they are looking, and that there's no like content like a consistent direction. So like for me as like a viewer of that, I'm trying to like, okay, what's this person looking at? What's this one looking at? Like where am I supposed to be looking? So I think it was like a little bit of a confusion of like where the focus of the overall image was, and maybe where we're talking about like centering, or even maybe like cropping in and kind of taking like sections and kind of like leaving stuff out might give like a better composition overall. But I felt like the treatment, like you were saying, like the drapery on all the models, they're all a little bit different. But I also think that since the dresses are different colors, maybe they represent different things. So maybe that element is meant to be like isolated.
Yeah, awesome. All right, moving on to image number 7, which is going to be Nicole and Isaac.
I love dancer portraits. So the one thing I knew I really wanted to say about this image that I loved is the fact that we have these beautiful curves that Derek has painted into the backdrop that are then mimicked in the form of the dancer. So we have this really beautiful connection between the curves in her body and the curves in the backdrop, and particularly, her left arm are, from the right. I love that we get to see that. And the light is just stunning. And of course, being a dancer, her pose is just absolutely beautiful. You could stare at it for days. The lines are so nice. I do love that we've also kind of stayed with a monochromatic look overall. We have the kind of reds and browns and the rich tones in the backdrop. And then of course we have that in her costume as well. But that does lead me to the thing that I do wish was a little bit different. I think if her, is this still considered a tutu? I think it is, right? Dancers will have to tell me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, good. So I think if her tutu were maybe just, even if it were a taupe or just a little bit darker, if it wasn't that white that was picking up so much light, it really does kind of pull your eye right there. I think if it was a little bit darker, it would be, we'd focus on her form a little bit more than the tutu kind of pulling us in. And then it's interesting as well. Uh-oh, we have camera problems happening here. It's interesting as well that we're able to see the line of the backdrop there against the wall. And so I'm not sure how I feel about that, having it kind of cut that part off. It's interesting to have the one straight line against all of these curves. So that is definitely something to consider. But overall, with her pose and the color palette and the connection to the backdrop and the way that the light and shadow are used here so beautifully, I think it's such a strong image.
Yeah, I agree. This is a beautiful image, especially the way the subject is, utilizing her dance form. It's really nice. It's really soft, subtle. It just brings you to the image. And I do agree with you, Nicole. The tutu is a little bit too bright. I think if they were to use maybe something a little bit darker, it would have blended in everything with the image. But I do love the fact that the photographer use this, like the color tone on the makeup and the hair, everything actually blends in really nicely together. The thing that's bothering me the most, I don't know if you guys see this, but the backdrop, that's that stream, right? There's a little white dot that, like, my eye keeps on going there. I don't know if you can see that, but it's like right across from her shoulder. Yes. And I see that on my screen because I have the picture up nice and large. That's bothering me. I am big on shadows. The left arm, it's a little bit, the blending of the shadows is a bit off for me. And also, I would love to see more shadows on the jawline because I feel like the cheeks kind of blend in more on the neck, you know? But other than that, the image, I mean, it's really great. Really nicely done. Great job.
Yeah, I love how this artist used the backdrop and the shapes and everything. That straight line doesn't bother me. I think it kind of pulls in the straight line of the dancers' lines. So it gives you both curves and straight lines. I do agree that the tutu is a little bright. The dancer's arms, her right arm, looking on the left side, something about it bothers me. I don't know if it's the straight arm and maybe that elbow should be a little bit bent or maybe curved following that curve behind in the backdrop. But I'm not a dancer, so I can't really critique her form. But I love how she tied in the warm backdrop colors to the upper part of the bodysuit. And the gold point shoes. Overall, it's such a gorgeous image.
You know what I thought it might be, Jay, as you were describing that, and I was looking, because of the way that her arm is angled and her armpit and her chest are open to that side, that arm almost looks flat, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, Isaac, you were mentioning the shadows are kind of off there. It feels like because that arm is catching so much light, it looks flat in comparison to the way that the shadows are handled so beautifully everywhere else.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Going last, it's like everybody said everything that I'm already thinking. But yeah, going with Isaac, just a little bit, hitting it up with a little more shadow, to try to get a little bit more contrast, to really like pull out the figure a little bit more. I agree with Jay was saying, like the little section on the left doesn't really bother me too much, just because there are other like straight elements within the figure itself. And I really love that you actually had her moving her arms like into the shape of the backdrop, and wonder how long that process actually took. He's sitting there being like, all right, right hand just like a half inch a little bit lower, and just and then now look natural. I'll take the photo. So again, it's like I'm a big process person, so like just like deconstructing that in my head, it's really nice to see something like that.
Awesome. So this was that Jupiter backdrop that we talked about being the wild card. As you can see, it's crazy. All right, heading into our last image that we're going to discuss for the night, image number 8. And the panel for this image is going to be Pratik and David.
Wow, this one is super cool. I love the concept of this. This is so inviting and playful. I just feel like my problems are all about looking at this particular image. Seriously, it's so fun. It kind of brings me back to like when you were a kid making paper planes and just having fun throwing them. You forgot about everything, And that's kind of what this image reminded me of. It's nice when you see an image that can give you an emotion and a story without really hyper focusing on different elements of like what to fix or how perfect was the execution. Like it really just brought everything home for me. I think compositionally it's great. The balance of even having a little cloud there in the top left to fill in the negative space. The only thing that I would probably be curious about is the brightness of each cloud. Like the top one's a little bit brighter, at least on my screen, than the bottom ones. I'm just wondering how it would look if the brightness was a little bit more balanced across. In terms of the composition, I would wonder if the way the child's blending with the clouds, it maybe have it a little bit more realistic in terms of how she's sitting or he's sitting on the clouds. But other than that, I loved the paper planes, the way that they're looking at the one flying down, at the same time holding one too. It's almost like if they're making paper planes from the clouds themselves. So very cool. Loved everything else about it.
I definitely agree with that. To me, this image feels very dreamy, like literally dreamy, like I'm dreaming. Like I would it's dream logic, right? Like you're sitting on a cloud and you're throwing paper airplanes. And I just love the mood of it. It seems so bright and like playful and fun. Um, I mean, I'm really kind of reaching for critique, but something that when I'm seeing it, if I had to like say anything, is that as far as the storytelling, like I'd like to know a little bit more about what's happening. Like obviously, it's just a kid making paper airplanes, but like, is he throwing them at somebody? Is he, you know, is he just doing it for the sake of like having fun? Like maybe there's like a little pile on the side of him. Like I don't know. There should be a little bit more context as far as what is happening, but still, I still feel like it's it feels like a dream, and it's just so playful and fun, and I loved it. So.
Yeah, those are exactly the words that come to mind when I see this image, is playful and fun. I think any child would absolutely love an image like this for themselves. And I think any parents would love an image of their child of something like this. It's so pretty. The blues, the whites, similar to the other image we saw with this same backdrop, which this is the Uranus. They also use blues and whites. So tying it all into the colors so well together. The composition is beautiful. It's very centered, but the little clouds around make sure it feels weighted evenly. I love the child's expression, the smile. It's adorable. Yeah, I don't really have anything else to say. It's just super cute.
Yeah, it's definitely pretty amazing to see this up in the clouds type of photo. I'm actually gonna go the opposite of what David was saying about having almost like a stockpile of like paper airplanes, and I even wanted to say that there should only be one in this, and that's the one that's already being thrown. I think it's unnecessary for the plane in hand to be there. I guess I think that might tell a bit of a story there, where it's just kind of like releasing that one, and then like the child's fixated on that one, watching it all the way down. So I think that That's probably like the only thing that I would probably say they would. But love the expression. I love the treatment of just like everything. As Pratik said, just having a little bit more natural, sitting on a cloud. But I don't think any one of us has sat on a cloud before, so I don't know what that really would look like. So,
I was just gonna say this image right here. It feels like a Hallmark card. Like it feels so good.
yeah.
Is it weird that I saw this and immediately was like, this needs to be on like a
With a book
commercial
cover.
for dryer sheets or like
No.
laundry detergent? You know what I mean? Because
Oh my
it's so
God, yeah.
Hard toilet
yeah,
paper.
right? Like this is what I
Yeah.
want my clothes to feel like when I put them on. It's so
Mhm.
yeah, it's so commercial. I mean, you could use this to sell 8 million things or give it to a
Mhm.
parent who would love it. It's just so charming.
It's definitely a vibe.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. All right, so that concludes the 8 images. So yeah, wonderful job, everyone. I mean, it's so incredible. During this this chat and critique, the panel and the judges have been privately chatting on the side, talking about who we want to win and our top 3. And I think we came to a consensus, right? We're all kind of on the same boat. So without further ado, let's get into the top 3. And I actually will, let's see. I'll pull up each image one at a time. So as we announced, Nicole, if you want to go ahead and share. So
here we go.
So let's first go over what the prizes are. So third place is going to win 25% off any backdrop order. Second place is going to get 50% off any backdrop order. First place is going to win a free backdrop up to a 6x9 size. And then as a special little treat and thank you to all of our challengers, the rest of everyone will get 15% off any backdrop order. So thank you all so much. It means the world to Derek and I that you all wanted to be a part of this. It was a bloodbath just getting in. We had so many applicants, and we couldn't have been any more proud of the 15 challengers we had. All right. So with that said, third place, receiving the 25% off, is image number 3, which is Susan Rockstraw.
Yay!
Awesome.
Congratulations, Susan! So beautiful, sumptuous.
Mm-hmm. Such a great image. All right. Second place, receiving 50% off, is image number 8, Rebecca Shepherd.
Yes! So lovely.
Yeah,
so
cute.
Lovely.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, so proud. All right. And not going to announce who's in first place. I'm going to actually hand it over to Pratik, who has a little special treat.
Surprise.
It's bees. It's bees.
Well, I wanted to, on behalf of Infinite Tools, give away one of our Photoshop panels to somebody that I wanted to give special props to, and that is Donna Maria Jones. And she had the beautiful image of the woman sitting. Oh, here we go. Right here. So you get 1 credit to any of our tools in our store. Just visit infinite-tools.com and you're able to pick out whatever you want, and it's yours. And just as a little thank you to everybody who also submitted. And that was my take for this round.
Yes, awesome. You could not have picked better.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, congrats, Donna Maria, and thank you, Pratik, for doing that. That's so awesome. I'm interested to know which panel she's going to get. Yeah. So Donna Maria, make sure you let us know. All right. The moment we've all been waiting for since October of last year, Derek, is when we started.
I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't know. It's been a while. So keep in mind, we've painted these 5 backdrops. We've put out a call to apply to be part of it. We chose the 15. We started sending out the backdrops after the first of the year. We battled FedEx with the worst shipping in the history of ever. We've gone to backdrops that were lost in the mail for 2 weeks at a time to suddenly popping up. Yeah, it was a giant pain, but everyone was super flexible and so amazing throughout this whole process, and made it all worth it for the first place winner, which is just an image that when I first saw it, I just was amazed and had my jaw on the floor. Image number 4, which is Ashley Casales.
Congratulations, Ashley.
Congrats. Amazing job.
Yeah.
So beautiful.
So amazing.
So beautiful. Yeah.
Concept, production.
But that damn
Yeah,
school.
really great.
I like it.
Is it weird that I'm imagining the kid throwing the paper airplanes at the
Oh
subject?
yeah.
I love
and this
that.
person
Collaboration.
and this person catches it? That would be
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. So as a note, something that a lot of people don't really know that Obsidian Studios offers is we also do rental backdrops. So every backdrop that you saw tonight is available to rent. So if you head to our website, theobsidianstudios.com, and go to the rentals tab, you'll find all of these drops in our different categories, the blues, the oranges. Yeah, so these can be yours, to try them out as well. But yeah, so again, thank you to our panel. Thank you to Nicole and the Artist Forge for hosting. Thank you to all of the participants and challengers. We obviously couldn't do this without you all. We're so proud of you. We're so amazed by all of your artwork. Each and every one of you deserved to win this competition and should have won. It was so hard to choose. I'm so glad that I didn't really have to that much. But yeah, so thank you to everyone. And I'll pass it over to Nicole to sign us off.
All righty. So we have had an amazing time. We've got to see some of the most beautiful image we've seen all year created by the people who participated in the Obsidian Studios Backdrop Challenge. And of course, at the Artist Forge, we're super honored that we get to help bring the judging to you so you get to watch it live and play along with us as you look at these images and share your thoughts as well. Very much congratulations to Ashley, a well-deserved win for a beautiful image. And like Jay said, everybody was so good. Nobody lost. You guys all created something beautiful for your portfolio that can go on to show everybody how wonderful of an artist you are. So one more time, big thanks to everybody who participated, for all the friends in the audience today for coming and hanging out. Make sure you go over and follow the Obsidian Studios on Instagram. We've put their handle below. Go check them out there. Show them some love. And remember, you can rent these backdrops. I was just blown away. I didn't know that. I'm so excited now. So if you need one of those, go grab one. Support your local artisans. And make sure you join us next week. Will be the last live stream of the month here at the Artist Forge, where we will be doing the final March challenge with the color red. Come and hang out with us. Be part of that, of course, every morning at 7 a.m. Mountain Standard Time on Clubhouse at the Artist Forge. You can come and be part of the conversation where we're learning to think like artists every day. Come and be there with us for that. And until then, go make something amazing. Shoot Ashley a message and tell her congratulations. Go give some love to your local artists. And we will see you all next year. Hopefully we get to host it again with the Obsidian Studios 3rd annual Backdrop Challenge. So best of luck. Everybody have an amazing night. And we will see you all later. Bye, friends.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.